Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special Fury of Dracula Strategy 101 guide video, whatever this is meant to be. We've got a very special video for you today. We're actually going to be spectating two of the top players in the community currently, Pizzawizard and Fangs of Fire. But with a little bit of a twist, instead of using the normal spectator mode in the game, what we're actually doing is that the two players are sharing their perspective with me on Discord. So I can actually see what cards they're picking up and what their hand is and all this sort of thing. And then from that, hopefully we'll be able to infer a lot better what sort of decisions the players are making during the game. And that'll be a more informative teaching experience and learning experience for everybody. Fingers crossed anyway, that's the plan. This is something I had in mind quite a long time ago as doing some sort of coaching stream where actually somebody is playing and I'll be sort of coaching them as they play. But for whatever reason that never transpired. But then it was actually Fangs of Fire's idea to do a stream like this. And now, many months later, we're making it work. So very good. So thank you very much to Pizzawizard and Fangs of Fire for participating in this with me. Very quickly, before we get into the game, I should introduce the players, just in case anybody's watching and you don't know who they are. Pizzawizard first, as the Hunter player today. Pizzawizard is definitely now within sort of the crop of players who is in the most experienced bracket of player. He's been in the community but since before the first tournament that we did in the second half of 2022. That's crazy, that was so long ago. Even though, yeah, he wasn't around when the digital edition of the game first came out and everything, he's been one of the most consistent members in the community, participating in every tournament, and if it wasn't for me being around, he probably would have won most of them, to be honest. He is a very, very good player, especially on Hunters, very, very solid. And even at times, I don't understand how he could be so good at Hunters. But yeah, he's consistently a very high performer. He hasn't played for about 2 months, so we'll have to see how rusty he is today. But very solid player, knows the way that Hunters have to be played, and follows the same sort of thought process that I do as playing Hunters in terms of supplying your way out of trouble and that sort of thing, and trying to take low risk, high benefit plays. So he and I have a very similar sort of ideology in terms of Hunters. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe he might be a maverick today and change some stuff up. We'll have to see. Very good Hunter player, definitely one of the best. If you want to learn how to play Hunters properly, Pizzawizard is a very good bet for that. And then as there's only one Dracula in the match. As the Dracula player today, we've got Fangs of Fire. So Fangs of Fire is a slightly newer member to the community, but at this stage, it's been, I think, about 2.5 years since Fangs of Fire has been in. Fangs of Fire missed the first tournament, but has been in all the other tournaments ever since. So it's at that stage where, a few months less experience at Pizzawizard doesn't really transform into much of a difference, especially when you're playing so often and playing against high caliber players in the tournaments. He's had a very sort of steady progress from the very beginning when he came into the community, and with every single tournament you've seen that he's improved every single time. He made it into I want to say now the semi-finals. I think that's right. The semi-finals of the most recent League of Dracula. That's our World Championship at the end of 2024. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a League of Dracula in 2025 that he would be again one of the top performers and pushing higher up the table. And has a bit more of a preference for the Dracula side. That's why he's on Dracula. But again, once you get sufficient amount of experience, players like Pizzawizard and Fangs of Fire are proficient enough on both sides, and they're both definitely capable of winning on either side of the board. His Dracula style is maybe not so aggressive in terms of maybe certain other members of the community, like a Wizakadjek or Spencer Wolfheart, doing stuff with layers, although he might try that today. But he has got a bit of a unique style in terms of not being afraid to utilize the center of the board to his advantage. It's very much meta these days that Draculas like to start east and go into that extremity and drag all the hunters into that extremity, whereas Fangs of Fire likes to mix it up. Maybe we'll see it today, maybe we won't, just depending on where the sign location is, but Fangs of Fire is not afraid to go into the center of the map and use the myriad of locations and different combinations of routes to trick the hunters. Sometimes that leads to slightly higher risk plays on his part, but his tournament record, especially recently, speaks for itself. That he is one of the the stronger members of the community. So we're going to have a good game here between these two. They're both going to be taking it seriously. It's obviously it's a bit of fun as well. We're going to be taking it seriously, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, every game of Fury of Dracula is different, but the reason why I wanted to try and do a video like this, and maybe we might do more in the future, just depending on the situation and of other players who are keen to participate, but it's because when I try to teach the game, especially when I do like my PowerPoint presentation slides and things, I'm having to talk in very vague general terms, but then often in the game, certain situations will arise, which then means you have to break the rules that I've then taught you. So this is going to be really cool where I'll actually be able to see it inside the game, and then we can analyze what is exactly going on, why a certain player might do something a little bit counterintuitive, or why they make a certain move, if they do something which is higher risk, lower risk, why not, so on. We don't know what's going to happen. Like every game of Fury of Dracula, we're going to go into it and we don't know what's going to happen. So we just have to watch it play out, and we'll take it as it comes. That's the deal. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoy it. So I'm going to be switching in between the two sides. Hopefully there won't be much lag in terms of the transition between the sides, but I think it's going to be very informative. And the good thing is, because I'm only commentating, I don't have to think about playing. So that's the big problem when I try to do these sort of analysis videos in the past. I've had to play a game, and then I've had to analyze it afterwards, and then you're doing the same game twice, which can be a bit tiring. Or I'm having to try and analyze it as I'm playing, and then a lot of the time then you get sucked into the game and you don't analyze as much. So this way, hopefully it's the best of both worlds. So everybody, we're streaming this live on Twitch as well. So everybody in the Twitch chat, feel free to say hello to YouTube. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask during the stream if there's something that you don't understand. I have covered the basics of Fury of Dracula in other videos. So depending on what the question is, if it's very quick and I'm able to answer it, I will. If it's something a lot more basic but might require more time to answer, I might have to ignore it. But there are hopefully plenty of experienced people in chat who will be able to answer and help out with that too. Hello. Fangs also mixes in Britannia start more than our community does. Yeah, that's absolutely true, yeah. So he's willing to go outside the box in terms of starting locations, which I think is really neat. Especially now, I mean, I say now, like the game, the update is new, but since we've had the Immortal update a year ago, Britannia's start is now a lot more viable, so it's really cool to see that sort of thing. I have no idea where Fangs is going to go, so we're just going to have to play it by ear. Anywho, I'm going to tell the players that we're ready. Alrighty, so I've told them that they're underway. Apologies, you're going to see like some interface stuff with Discord, but it'll hopefully be to a minimum. So yeah, obviously hunters have to pick their starting location first, but I'm actually going to switch over to Fangs' side because I don't expect Pizzawizard to pull any surprises here. In terms of his starting location, he is going with his traditional Pizzawizard setup with these 4 starting locations. So this is the thing we want to see. Dracula's starting hand. So Dracula's got quite a strong hand here. Let's say good luck, HF. Nice. So this is really cool. The fact that Dracula can see his initial encounter cards before he plays his first location. So he's got a couple of vampires. One that's a fighting one that's not. Fog is always good to have early, unless Behind the Veil comes out. And then you've got Sagani Mob and Bodyguards, a couple of things you can mix in. So it's going to be interesting to see, once you see this starting hand, what Fangs of Fire is going to do in terms of location. Is he going to go into an extremity and throw down a vampire and try and get 7 points really early on? Is he going to try and play a more aggressive start, maybe in Britannia, where you put down lots of non-vampire locations, try and kill Van Helsing and then have a vampire afterwards? Is he going to try and do a lair strategy, where he puts down vampires, but then doesn't mature them and then returns those locations and doubles up on those, or triple maybe, on those encounters? We'll have to see. There's lots of different things that the Dracula can do. And obviously we're going to see Dracula's trail build up over time, so I can't make immediate assumptions about what Dracula's going to do. We have to see it as it pans out, and then obviously as Dracula uses an encounter card and then replenishes with a new one, you'll see what happens. So yeah, okay, so Dracula has started in Nuremberg. So I'm just going to quickly go back to Pizzawizard because I want to see what Pizzawizard is supplying. But we know Dracula's in Nuremberg, so he's doing a... Oh, hide scouts. Okay, nice. Very early stuff. So Dracula is doing Central European things. Might start moving towards an extremity later, but we'll see what happens for now. So Pizzawizard is trying to look at where to pick for these hired scouts. I missed Godalming's supply, but I'll be able to see it afterwards. So it looks like Pizzawizard is checking extremities. Makes a lot of sense because you want to check them. A central start. The disadvantage of starting centrally on the map is that the hunters are very close, so they can deal with the encounters. But there's a lot more places that Dracula can hide. Van Helsing's got stake, very nice. Horses on Mina, that's a very forewarned. Very good start in terms of having those things. But obviously now Dracula knows there's a forewarned. Godalming has a knife and a garlic. Okay, so knife is pretty important. And dogs on Seward. Not great, but it's fine. It's the first turn of supplying, no big deal. So they're just going to get tickets, so I can do when Mina... Oh, Mina's already trading, I guess, to take the knife? Nope. Nope. Oh, very good. Okay. That's fine. So we'll switch over to Fangs' hand. So there's a little bit of trade there with tickets and things. We can sort of analyse that a little bit more carefully later, but that's fine. So the important thing I want to see here is what Dracula's going to put down for first encounter. That's very important here, because that will also give us a bit of a guide of how Fangs is going to try and approach this game. Going into Frankfurt, that's interesting. Frankfurt is not a very popular location in general, but Pizzawizard is one that actually likes to use Frankfurt. So maybe Pizzawizard might be sort of switched on to that and go, well, maybe I'll check Frankfurt, because I like going Frankfurt. Okay, so you put down bodyguards. So Fangs is not putting down a vampire first. So at least he is not looking for a very, very quick mature, right? Oh, there's a behind the veil. Holy moly, so that's going to be a natural fog gone. So behind the veil can eliminate one of these encounter cards. Yeah, that's right, Pizzawizard. You do your thing. Yeah, so we call it Trash Trail, which is not very nice because these encounters they can be powerful with the right combo, right? But there's no vampire initially, no hoax, right? Fangs is not looking for a very powerful mature early. He just wants to throw down lots of stuff and make them waste time trying to find everything. Spiders in return, there's no ally. Double stake on Van Helsing. So this can happen, right, when you're a hunter player. You get... Okay, double horse on Mina isn't great, but it can be given to Godalming. That's why we try and pair up those two. Normally it's Godalming who ends up supplying the good stuff, but that's okay. He's got a rifle, there's a knife, there's a holy circle, there's a white one. Okay, so this is all looking pretty good. The problem is that Van Helsing has two stakes. So he probably won't keep both. Eventually he'll discard one of them. But that can happen, right? As much as I want to do a video talking about hand management and that sort of thing, sometimes the items don't cooperate and they get drawn from the deck in a way that is suboptimal. There's nothing you can do about that. You just have to work around it. So there's a bit of a trade going on. You must give me the knife, right? Yeah, there you go. Good. Right, let's go back to Fangs in time for his second thing. So interesting to see, because sometimes what Draculas will do here, they'll put down a bodyguards first, and then they'll put down a vampire. So he's misdirecting his initial location. He didn't have to do that. It's meta to do that. But you don't have to do that. Because he could have maybe tried to layer it and stuff, but maybe he wants to go back there later. Was that a walls he put down? I missed that, actually. So yeah, it looks like he's going for a little bit trashy trail. But that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so... Yeah. But I guess in this situation, right, because it's quite likely it's going to be revealed, there's then a risk then if Dracula tries to go back into Nuremberg later, he's going to be easily surrounded by 3 hunters, and he's got a bit of a problem there. We've got a heroic leap, so that's strong. There's also a sense of emergency, so there's what I call express movement. There's additional movement on the hunter side. So this is the thing when you're playing as hunters, you are supplying all the items and seeing how the items are distributed, and you're also then supplying the events. And the events kind of tell you what sort of game you can play. If you get loads of express movement, you know you can maybe play a little bit slower, because then you've got the movement to catch up afterwards. If you've got a lot of combat-based events, then you know, well, I can maybe take some really early fights because I've got a lot of things like planned ambushes, heroic leaps, lucky finds in my back pocket to sort of replenish and be stronger in combat. I think going back to the first location is better in Extremity, where then if you do go back on it, it's going to be harder for the hunters to punish you for it. Whereas Nuremberg is a very punishable location because it's in the center, it's not next to a port, so if there's a CG comes out, you can get trapped, you can get surrounded very quickly. Maybe Dracula wants to go back to Nuremberg. Oh, and you go back to Fangs' perspective. I will forget to do this at some point. So it looks like he's going to go back to Nuremberg, which kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense, to be honest. And again, more trashy stuff going down. So the way that Fangs is playing this game is he's going to throw down lots of kind of benign-ish encounters early, but the hunters are going to still have to go and deal with it because they can't let anything mature, because if things mature, then bad stuff can happen. But then all the vampires and stuff will be saved up for later. So you see, Fangs hasn't even used a rumor token either. There's a stake. There's a newspaper report. Okay, so that's going to be used immediately. So there you go. So the hunters have found out pretty much on the optimal day where the sign location is. It's a little bit tricky to get to. They'll require a couple of days of movement to get there, but at least they know it, right? So they can start to plan around it. So now Pizzawizard is trying to work out, okay, who is going to go there? Who's going to go and deal with it? Oh, another newspaper reports. Holy moly. So that means then the thing after Frankfurt can be searched without them having to go around looking for it. And there's a double forewarned on Mina. So the hunters have 2 forewarns, and the one unnatural fog is being taken away behind the veil. So the hunters have now a bit of an advantage in terms of being able to nullify Dracula's encounters, especially if the second fog appears. They might be able to work around it, but then again, Fangs might not. Oh, I should have seen what they were trading. I guess it's the forewarned that's getting traded. I should have been paying attention to that. Apologies, people. Yeah, so forewarned on Van Helsing, and he's trading the. This is kind of a clever little trick here. So this little symbol. This little symbol here tells you that this is the forewarned that was revealed. So he's going to trade onto Van Helsing. But Fangs doesn't know that there is a second forewarned. So that's a clever little trick. The hunters taking the first forewarned off Mina isn't that controversial, because maybe if Dracula gets a vampiric influence, they can snipe it or kill Mina or whatever. But then now, Mina is still protected because she has the second forewarned, but Dracula doesn't know about it. It's kind of it's a neat little thing. So now Dracula's got a little bit of a interesting game to play here. How aggressive do you try to be here? You know the hunters are going to start closing in on your first location. Do you move into Munich? But there's a risk that both Mina and Godalming might jump onto you. Do you keep moving maybe further south to Zurich, to Marseille? You know Seward might move up to try and go to Frankfurt, but maybe Seward might stay in place, and it might be Mina or Godalming that moves over. If Mina or Godalming move over, then that east-west corridor has been left open. I didn't see what encounter he put down, because I was in a train of thought and I wasn't paying attention. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Can I remember what his hand was? No, I can't. Spy. Oh, thank you, Titone. Okay, Spy in Zurich is interesting because it's a small city, right? So if they burn an event, burn an item to get rid of the spy, they're on a small city, so they can't supply up there to get the item back. They have to go to a big city. Godalming's still supplying. That's interesting. I guess he's worried about a potential Munich ambush waiting for him. Charter carriage, nice movement. That's good. Okay. Suit's movement's a bit meh, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. You may be tempted to move Van Helsing over here, but then there might be an ambush waiting for you in Le Havre. So that's a problem. But another Charlie Carriage. So the Hunters have good movement here. They have good movement, and with the fast horses. I don't know if they got all the white ones yet. I haven't counted, but I don't think they do. Interesting. Right. So what I guess Pizzawizard is trying to do here is working out which item to keep on the off chance that Mina then bumbles into Dracula. So Speedy Telegraph. Is that better than newspaper reports? I'm worried about what happens after Frankfurt. With that newspaper reports, you're guaranteed to know what the thing is after Frankfurt, and then you don't have to start guessing the location. You can just go straight to it. I guess it also depends on how the Hunters move forward, right? Because if they discover that Nuremberg is on the trail, then they know that it can only be Strasbourg or Leipzig will be the one in between Frankfurt and Nuremberg, right? But they might not move on to Nuremberg. So there's lots of stuff. Again, I wasn't paying attention to white ones, but oh, there's two over there, so that's good. That's nice. Okay. So so the Hunters are doing everything normally, right? They're supplying, they're not rushing in this situation. They want to try and get as many events as possible, trying to get the white ones at night. That's all very good. All good stuff. So now, again, Dracula's got a little bit of a game to play here. Does he now move into Munich? If he moved into Munich last turn, he would have gotten away with it. Okay, Geneva's kind of nice, because Seward's very unlikely to go into there, unless he has fast horses, but maybe if you can get him into a nice 1v1. Okay, and he's putting down Zagani Mob, because if there's a chance that Zurich, if Seward moves into Geneva, he's going to get hit by that mob for 4 damage, so that's good. So Fangs is definitely respecting what Pizzawizard could do on this turn, but we know that Seward cannot get into Geneva because he doesn't have the movement to do so. There could have been a chartered carriage trade, but you wouldn't charter carriage from Bordeaux to Geneva in this situation. Oh, a Heavenly Host. That's nice. We've got now 2 of them in play. Obviously, not relevant until you've got Consecrated Ground, but still. The fact that Fangs is seeing a rifle being discarded, then you know that Gadami has something at least on par to a rifle, but probably a Heavenly Host. Or a knife, or both. Okay, so Van Helsing's moving now. Dracula's not in the position to ambush Van Helsing. Yeah, so he's busy trying to work out how to get to Frankfurt here. The problem is, does he have all the white ones? I don't think he does, which means... Oh, maybe he does. That's why he's using fast horses now. No, he's using... Whoa, okay. So he's using Sense of Emergency because he doesn't want to risk the horses because there's still one white one in the deck. Now, we've seen it in the tournament when I've been playing Hunters. When you've used a card like Sense of Emergency or something like that, you actually kind of need that card later, maybe. Or in the case of you're going into an extremity, the Sense of Emergency can often mean that that Hunter cannot backtrack. But in a situation like this, where it's in the center of the map, Mina has fast horses. She's not going too far out of position to use the Sense of Emergency. But then Dracula's thinking about it. Well, that Sense of Emergency can't be used anymore. Bodyguards. Okay, so she can deal with that, but she's taken 4 damage in total now because of that Sense of Emergency. I guess also the other thing, and that's very interesting that he would reveal the knife and not the pistol. I presume he's thinking that the pistol might get ditched later, but also because it's so likely that Mina has a knife, he may as well just reveal it. But now Dracula doesn't know what that second item is. Is it a second knife? Is it a pistol or a rifle? Is it a crucifix? Is it a heavenly host? Is it a stake? Right, so now there's more doubt. So it's kind of an interesting strategy there by Pizzawizard to reveal the knife. But I understand why that you might do that. The other reason you might want to reveal the pistol is maybe you might just ditch the pistol and then Dracula has no information at all. But when you see Godalming and Mina trading like that, it's pretty likely she's getting a knife. So the advantage is, though, because of... oh, I need to go back to Fangs' side as I take a drink. Because she moved almost a day early onto Frankfurt, that now gives her more time to try to find the next location. I mean, she might check Strasbourg, so there might be a chance here that if you go into Strasbourg, Mina might move on top of you. Now, obviously, we know that Mina doesn't have any sort of combat event, like an Escape Brew or Heroic Leap. There's a Heroic Leap, it's on Van Helsing. But Fangs doesn't know that. So he went into Clermont-Ferrand. And again, just putting out more stuff, thinking that if Seward starts walking into these things, he's going to get hit for a lot of damage. And he's just slowly making his way past Seward. Now, the problem is, because he's now adjacent to Seward, there is a risk of a... Okay, Godalming supplying. I don't know if I like that when you know he's got so much good stuff. And now knives can have to be discarded, or the Heavenly Host. Yeah, he's going down the Dracula Highway a little bit. Yeah. All those little small cities in the centre that go across from sort of east to west, across the sort of the centre of the board, yeah. Or sort of north to south, right? South, west, and northeast. Yeah. Now this is a difficult decision. Do you get rid of the Heavenly Host, or you get rid of one of the knives? He's getting rid of the Heavenly Host. I honestly think that not supplying would have been better. I think checking Munich would have been very important to know if Dracula had gone through there or not. I think that was a slight misplay. But we'll see. We shall see. We shall see. Mina's health is a little bit vulnerable. It's not awful, but we've got to be a little bit careful here. So she's just going to supply, but that means... Oh, she's got a second speed telegraph. Okay. 2 speed telegraphs are good. Being able to change the hunter order is probably one of the difficult sort of skills involved with the game, and where you can manipulate that to your advantage. I think just moving Godalming over to 38 would have been better. Item deck is close to reshuffling. True, but I don't know what you're gaining from the supply. I've got no problem with Seward supplying. I've got no issue with that. So... Mina's healing 1 more health. The problem is that extra health isn't actually an advantage to her, depending on what encounter she walks into. And now, there's a very good chance that this next encounter is gonna mature. Pizzawizard's gonna have to guess with Mina where he's gone next, and the problem is there are 4 locations adjacent to Frankfurt. He might just guess lucky, or he might be able to use his intuition. Yeah, that's right, Fangs, no problem. So... Yeah, so we know Dracula's in Clermont-Ferrand. Does he just keep moving towards Iberia, is the question. Because the problem is we don't know how Van Helsing's going to move. Oh. I'm looking at the wrong screen. Oops. Oh, I was on the wrong screen. Oops. So we don't know where Dracula is. Great. That'll be a surprise to all of us then. Now Godalming's going to Munich. I think he should have done that yesterday, but that's okay. It's fine. He didn't get punished for it because Dracula didn't go through that way. Sense of emergency. More movement for the hunters. Very nice. So I guess, yeah, Van Helsing could check Cologne with that yellow 3 ticket. I know it's a little bit blurry. Maybe the quality from Pizzawizard stream isn't as good. But you can check Cologne. So that's eliminated 2 of the locations. Nope. Do you want to go to Cologne or not? I think going to Cologne is quite a good idea here. Just still on the rail line. Now he's thinking, does he go down to Marseille? Marseille would be a better long-term position. But you need to try and find out where this next encounter is. Because we know it's not that of a powerful encounter, but the hunters don't know that. Strasbourg. No! We didn't find it. So we're going to get a mature. It looks like, unless Dracula layers it. Dracula might not layer it, though. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. Was it wolves? I should have written it down. I think it was wolves. It's something not that powerful. But it's still better than nothing. And that's kind of the way to think about it. Okay, still trying to dig for that white one. That makes sense. Hello, Natalia. Say hi to YouTube. So, okay, let's go back to Dracula's board. Let's actually remember to do it this time. Because I saw Fangs typing, so I thought it was... Oh, there's an aristocratic vampire in Leipzig. Wait, how did I miss that? Holy moly. How did I thought it was wolves or something. I didn't even notice that it went out. Okay. Interesting. He's choosing to mature it. Huh. Oh, wow. Okay. I just completely missed that, even though I'm... Wow. Okay, I'm giving all this extra information. I'm not using it. I didn't see this aristocratic vampire. All of you in the comments will be shouting, going, how on earth could you miss an encounter? Okay. So, he's choosing to mature it, only getting 4 points. But at the same time, it does mean now the hunters don't really know where he's gone thereafter, right? So, Leipzig's got removed from the trail, as has Nuremberg and Zurich and Geneva. So we've only got Clermont-Ferrand and Toulouse on the trail. So this is where vampire matures are a little, especially when it's only for 4 points, is a little bit tricky, right? Because yeah, you're getting points, which Dracula needs to get towards his win condition, which is the 13 influence points. But he is then removing encounters from the trail, so meaning that the hunters have more time. Wow, this is wacky stuff. Okay, so he's decided to wolf form hide on Toulouse. I don't know if I like that, because Toulouse is a location he could be in, and wolf forming from Toulouse isn't terrible. Wow, that is interesting. So you know he put down a spy. I don't know what his other encounter was. I should have been keeping track. I should have been writing down more notes. Note for if we do this again. Oh no! Gadami supplied, he's got the other horse. Oh no! So he's going to have to discard a knife now. Oh my goodness. That's the risk. Ah! That's what you get, Pizzawizard, for supplying with Godalming. That's what happens. So he's lost a Heavenly Host and a knife now, thanks to Godalming's ability. I mean, the interesting thing is he hasn't gone through Marseille. So if the hunters go to Marseille, they'll find nothing. But that'll make them think that he's on the Dracula Highway. I don't know how much this wolf form hide is really going to benefit Dracula. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Classic AI hunters with 2 horses. Yep. Well, yeah. Well, Mina had 2, and then she gave one to Godalming. When there's so few cards in the deck, you have to be selective with which hunter you supply it with. I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. And now, problem is now Van Helsing has 2 Heavenly Hosts, so he's now going to have to try and trade one of them across. If I knew there were so few cards in the deck, I wouldn't supply with Godalming there, personally. I'd supply with the others. The problem is there's a white one missing, so Godalming can't really move very much. But I think moving is still very useful. Local rumours. Ooh. Well, that actually doesn't give you a huge amount of information. Because of the vampire mature, it got rid of Geneva and Zurich. If there was some other encounter that he led or chose not to mature the vampire, Zurich and Geneva would have been revealed. So that's very interesting. So that's a way that actually maturing worked out in Dracula's favor. And Dracula's got 4 points. And Dracula needs points at some point, right? Oh, the last white one's been obtained, so the hunter's going to actually start moving with fast horses now. I mean, they can move anyway. I want to make this really clear. It's just the risk is very great. I mean, it's a 1 in 8, but we all know the meme. Even if it's a 1 in 8 chance, the one time they use the horses, it'll fail. And you lose the horses. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I'm so bad at switching. Oh my goodness. Right, so where's Dracula? He's in Bordeaux. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know what the encounter was, but Seward vacated Bordeaux, and then he just... Oh, he put a Reckless Vampire down. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. But there are a lot of stakes around. That's the thing. We know that I think there are 3 stakes, I think, which are available. Right, this movement's very good because you need to give the horse over to Seward. But I think between... Well, there are definitely 2 stakes about, right? Oh, discarding the bullets. Oh. Okay, so this means now vampires are going to be basically very easy to deal with because you got 3 stakes. Oh, thank you, Terminus. Well, I'm back. Psychic Bond could be a problem. Yeah. Yeah. I guess, is Mina gonna go to Marseille? It's very possible. I mean, if Captain Gyro was here, he'd be screaming for the psychic scan. Ah, look at Pizzawizard. He's counting the moves. He's counting where Dracula's gone. Oh, he's not going for the psychic scan. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's changed his mind. Oh my goodness, look at this. I do this all the time. Sometimes I'm saying, I'm going to move to this location, then I go, nah, I'm not going to. Oh, he's backtracking to Munich. Oh, no. Okay, wow. Huge decision there. So if Mina had gone into Marseille and psychic scanned, then Peacewiz would know that Dracula's inside Gallia. And with no wolf form available to use, that's a lot of information. Can't be because of local rumors. Local rumors triggered in... Strasbourg. No. So Strasbourg and Munich are only connected by a rail line. So local rumors doesn't work. I guess there is a way that Dracula could have gone from Leipzig into Hamburg and gone round this way. So he could have maybe been in Munich. I'm going to have to count the moves out. I want to switch. There's a lot of interesting trades that could happen. So I'm just waiting to see what happens. Note you're doing tickets. Oh no, you can't back out! Oh no! Oh no! You can't back out, Pizzawizard. So he's made his horse economy worse. Poor guy. I just keep it, because you can move a bit more. And you're resting. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's just think. If he went to Leipzig, 3 things got cleared, and then there were 2 more. 1, 2... Yeah? Yeah. I think he could... Yeah. He could have moved into Munich today, right? The wolf form's a bit funky, though. Right? I think having a wolf form mixed in is a bit funky, but it's all possible. Whoa! Okay, so Clermont-Ferrand just got removed. Why would that be? Moving to Munich right after Godalming left is a very Fangsy move. He moved into Bordeaux as soon as Seward left. He really wants to stay in Gallia. Oh, maybe not then. Now it's Fangs who's changing his mind on the moves, right? This is the kind of thing with this game. You can't really... Sometimes you can plan a lot, but a lot of the time you have to retake one move at a time. Because you have to wait and see how all the other pieces on the board are moving, and then you make a decision of where they're going to move. The problem is staying in Gallia, you're so risky by getting hit by a psychic scan. But then, if you don't get found with a psychic scan, then it's really obvious where you are. So it's really sort of... The fact... I don't like the wolf form hide. Because now, in a situation like this, you'd love to have a wolf form where you maybe go back into Clermont-Ferrand, and then you wolf form out. I think then you could go into Italia, you could go up towards Strasbourg, back into Germania, you can then wolf form down into Iberia. Not having the wolf form available is going to put Dracula in a very vulnerable spot if he gets caught or if he gets found. Um, Going to Munich is a gamble that you know you're. Yeah, I think that's the thing. There's also a bit of psychology with this game, where if you know your opponent is very commonly plays tricksy. Okay, a Bats is very interesting. So as a defensive card, Bats is great, but also there's a Vampire here, which means then they could get pushed back into the Vampire and could take lethal damage from it. But there's a lot of stakes around. Right, exactly. That's what we're kind of talking about, right? Fangs plays this style of instead of going into an extremity location, he likes just to go all over the place. But then the thing is, the Dracula player, you can then take advantage of that because you can sit there and go, okay, normally I play risky, so I'll play really safe, and my opponent will think I'm playing risky. Right, where are you checking? So yeah, so Pizzawizard's counting potential movements here. He knows Zurich. Yeah. Okay, so he knows that Zurich and Geneva are a possibility on the trail. Ooh. Okay, so ruled out Italia and ruled out Nantes. Dracula was going to go into Nantes. But I think now that gives you a sort of a sense that Dracula's either still in Gallia, doing something really tricksy, or he's in Iberia. Still supplying. Sister Agatha is very nice, and there is a surprising return kicking around, unless it got discarded. I think Suid has that. So searching here is a good idea. Can you bring her back later? Saragossa is also a really popular place to go, and he didn't. Not there. So now the problem is the Hunters have a problem. I would have probably checked Santander rather than Saragossa, because Saragossa can be checked with one move from Marseille. Going from Marseille to Santander is going to take 2 moves, if you want to go as far as that. I guess if you check Bordeaux, then you know it, right? I guess you can go to Bordeaux and that rules that out. The Hunters need to start moving. They need to... Yeah, he was very close with the searches, and if Fangs had played slightly differently, he might have found him in Nantes, right? Okay, 3-2 is really good, because you can get down to Bordeaux. That's really nice. Okay, let's go back over to Fangs' side. Now he moves into Saragossa because it got searched. Why on earth would he move? You know, there's no way that gets checked again, right? So this is a really interesting sort of way of playing as Dracula. If you know, I think you put down a Reckless Vampire, right? If you know that the Hunters have checked a certain spot with hired scouts, then the thing you could do is just go straight to that location, because why on earth would they check it? Okay, so stake's been discarded. The Heavenly Host has been got back again. Evil Presence. Negative. That does give information. But not here. Why are they still supplying? What are they digging for? I did say in the introduction that Pizzawizard is very good at supplying. But I think in a situation like this, I really feel like Pizzawizard should be checking locations. Oh, especially, I really feel Van Helsing should have gone down to Bordeaux there. I mean, he's going to get a lot of events, but I don't know what stuff he's looking. I guess he's looking for renewed vigors, right? Because no renewed vigors have been obtained. That's the revealed one. So get rid of the unrevealed Speedy Telegraph. Very good. I guess that's what he's looking for, because that is the one thing that Peter was really missing, is those renewed vigors. But I think this wolf form is potentially going to throw him off. Yeah, there's a little bit of taunting going on, but Pizzawizard did throw away newspaper reports, which could have been very useful for finding Leipzig, or finding out something in this situation. Okay. Ooh, Suit doesn't have an anti-escape as bat item. I don't know if I agree with that one, but okay. Maybe just putting all of his eggs into one basket, which could work. It would be good just to check choke points. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. There's a Mystic Research. He's going to get more events, but there's going to be a problem. He's going to start discarding stuff. Because, like, now, like, if you keep supplying any more, Speed Telegraph might be discarded and revealing something. I mean, we'll see how things pan out, right? We often see Pizzawizard, even if at the mid game he's struggling, it looks like he's struggling. He'll suddenly just explode with power, and he'll get a lot of the encounters cleared up, and he'll have so much potential with all of the events and things he's accumulated. He can then just wallop Dracula later. But that's a full trail, and we're almost at the end of the second week. With 2 rumor tokens. Only one of them can mature because of the way the mature works. It'll reveal. Oh, I didn't check where he's went. I'm so used to being in the mode of only looking at hunters. It's fine. It's fine. We'll play a little game. Where's Dracula gone? Well, he's in Saragossa, so he's probably gone to Alicante, would be my guess. Why are you still supplying? Stop supplying. Move. There's nothing you can get right now. That is really, like, you don't need anything this very second. Need to deal with this stuff. I mean, he is well equipped, so he will be able to deal with things very quickly. I think this is just a touch too passive for my liking. And now what do? Do you get rid of Speedy Telegraph? Do you get rid of Lucky Find? I guess you're going to have to get rid of Speedy Telegraph. I feel Speedy Telegraph could be really helpful here. I mean, he wants to get through the item deck for the lols, maybe. The item deck and also the event deck, right? He wants to just clear the whole event deck. I mean, at the very least, just check Bordeaux, right? Because then that way you know he's not in Iberia. And you eliminate that entire part of the map. He needs to keep a stick on Van Helsing for Vampire. Of course for Vampire Lair. Yes, because that's like a mini Renewed Vigor, right? Who needs Renewed Vigor when you got the mini Renewed Vigor? That's not going to make sense to anybody who's not part of the community right now, but that's a meme. What are you trading, Sunshine? Okay. So just doing a little bit of movement stuff. Giving full warn to Seward makes sense because he's probably the one going to go into battle. Right, let's watch Fangs. Where are you, Fangs? Are you in Alicante? No, you're in Madrid. Okay. We don't know what he put in Madrid, so that's going to be a surprise to us. Did he put down a Reckless? He's layering to lose because he doesn't want to reveal it. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. He's gonna get his wolf form back soon. Hey, Mimi. Okay, so I guess we don't know what's in Madrid. That's the only thing we don't know about. But we might find out. We might not. Lisbon? Okay. Just going to the extremity. I think that makes sense. You gotta be careful here, because if that rumor token matures, you're gonna lose that desecrated soil. That's the only problem. So when you start putting down vampires, if you think they're gonna mature, you need to be able to you don't want them to lose encounters, which are very powerful. You want to leave Iberia from Alicante. Hard to plan when that will be. True. True. Escape routes being discarded. Okay. Still supplying. Still supplying. Do you keep the wax cylinders? I mean, Dracula's having a very comfy time right now. He's just there, chilling out in Iberia, throwing out loads of encounters. I mean, the wax cylinders are going to be really funny, because he's going to discover that it's a hide wolf form. See, this is the problem. He's now having to discard really strong events. I really don't like this. I've been in this situation before, but I feel like this is way too passive. Oh, he's completely lost track of where he is. He thinks he might have gone east. Yeah, Pizzawizard is really in a sticky spot here. I mean, the advantage is the next thing is going to be... I mean, the hide's not going to tell you that it was Toulouse. That's the really cool thing about it. because Toulouse is in a lair, but it's unrevealed. So then if a hunter steps onto it, they're going to be hit. So it's actually a nice little block, sort of a blocker location for the hunters moving into. So that's actually really important there. The reason why he did... Nope, so he didn't go east. But important for Pizzawizard to know that, I suppose. I guess he didn't want to commit east, and then he found out it wasn't there, but I feel like he should have been moving at this point. But the reason why Dracula didn't want to mature Toulouse is because I think it was a wolves or something, which would then reveal the location, and then that tells the hunters information about where he is. Oh my god. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I don't know, because Munich got blocked, right? So I don't think it's possible now. Peter was just absolutely stunned. Wow. That is very trolly. That's a little bit BM, but I like it. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen just the hide card revealed from Waxenders with a wolf form. That's very funny. That's amazing. So he knows that it's a layer. I guess maybe now he might be able to try and deduce. It's very possible that he was beside a hunter, and he was waiting for the hunter to then move into their location, but the problem is now, the more and more time that passes, it's really difficult for Pizzawizard or any hunter player to keep track what has happened, because then you start to lose track. When did I get those scouts? When did I search with Agatha? When did I get local rumours? When did I move out of Bordeaux? When did I move out of Munich? And you start to really lose track of how many days have passed and where Dracula could actually be. So, because we've got the advantage, we can see what's happening. You can then maybe deduce, maybe he was beside Seward, and then he's walked in. But that's very now, after almost a week, or over a week's worth of play, it's very hard for the hunters to know that. It's very hard to keep track, unless you're writing down every single tiny detail of what's happening during the game, which you can do, by the way. But a lot of hunter players don't do that, because they try to play as fast as possible to not exhaust themselves. Just more vampires. This is just going to be really tough for Pizzawizard to deal with all this stuff. Maybe I mean, it's very risky now. If you let this vampire mature, then you're up 11 points. Yeah, Pizzawizard played incredibly passive, which normally we would admire and go, look at him, he's getting through the event deck, he's getting lots of good stuff. He's going to be really powerful. I think he's been way too passive here. Again, it's very easy in hindsight for me to sit here and say that. I'm not the one playing. He doesn't have Vampire Lair? Oh, now he has CG. But now he's going to have to get rid of one. Oh, why didn't you use Mystic Research? He's now got all of these powerful events. He's now going to have to get rid of one of them. And all of them are so valuable. Oh, yeah, exceedingly passive hunter play. But the thing is, like, for anybody who's watching and going, well, why doesn't Pizzawizard just move? There's a lot of times where we've seen Pizzawizard win a lot of games by just accumulating events, and the trail kind of takes care of itself. If you just get one or two hunters in the right spot, you can deal with the big vampire rumor token encounters, and then you win the game. Get rid of Mystic Research. The ones with the renewed... Oh, he got rid of Forewarned. It makes sense because he got rid of a natural fog. But the problem is now, Dracula's starting to get through the deck. That fog might come back. And now he gets Hypnosis. Wow. It was really punishing Mina not going to Marseille. Because if he just Psychic Scanned, he would have discovered where Dracula was. And all of basically the last 5 turns, maybe, of all of these supplying would not have been necessary. He would have found Bordeaux, the vampire would have been dealt with. But I get it, because if Dracula went east, you need to check Munich. I completely understand it, but I feel, again, hindsight. And I'm very bad at using Psychic Scans, by the way. But a lot of argument would be, if you just Psychic Scanned, it would have eliminated so much of this problem. Butterfly effect. Yep, one turn where you don't do the thing that you should do, then just affects everything. But could Pizzawizard have rectified this? Absolutely. or we had to move into Bordeaux, and then you eliminate the possibility. Maybe he miscounted. Maybe he thought it was impossible for Dracula to get into Bordeaux. But that's miscounting. So maybe we're seeing a little bit of a thing here that Pizzawizard is maybe a little bit rusty because he hasn't played for a couple of months, whereas Fangs of Fire has been playing a little bit. We got Reckless in Bordeaux. Do you mature it? I mean, there's maybe an argument that you don't. And you maybe think that Saragossa will mature. I kind of respect that. The fact you're layering it. I kind of respect it. Obviously, this is going to really backfire if somehow they deal with the next rumor token. That's going to be a big problem. But I kind of understand that. Okay, more discredited soils. Makes sense, because you want to try to get through this, especially since the Lisbon one is probably going to get removed now because of the Saragossa thing. So there's 2 rumor tokens now. Pizzawizard has to deal with both. So Pizzawizard's been given a little bit of a reprieve here. Avoiding potential CG nuke with a nuke form? Yeah, really important. Really, really important. Fangs of Fire has to play around CG. The reason why... I mean, it sounds a bit crazy. Why on earth would Fangs not mature that and take the 7 guaranteed points? But as soon as you do that, you tell the hunters where you are, you're removing all of that stuff from the board. If then the hunters suddenly have, you know, just enough time to find out where you're going from C with money trails, hypnosis, consecrated ground, you might not get to the finishing line. Whereas now, there is still a week's worth of trail that has to be dealt with. So you're putting more pressure on the hunters in terms of you got more to deal with. Oh, now Godalming's having to go all the way to Munich just to use the hypnosis, so he's going in the wrong direction. Oh no. And then Lucy's Revenge pops up. I mean, he might need Lucy's Revenge because maybe only Godalming, they might have a suboptimal fight later if the hunters are then dispersed across multiple locations. But then to get CG to work, Van Helsing's going to have to trade. Oh, if only Van Helsing had just gone to Bordeaux, he would have discovered it. Alright. Well, he knows where he is now. He knows where he is now. So there is definitely an argument here. There's a very, very fine balance here between playing passive and supplying is good, but not too passive. There's this very, very fine line. The rumor might get dealt with. It might. It might. But the problem is there's a lot of places that have to get checked. Because the problem is you don't know. If it's Iberia, then he might work out, okay, so it's maybe Bordeaux, then Santander, but then where's the next one? Is the rumor token in Saragossa? Is it in Madrid? Is it in Lisbon? The downside for Dracula is Saragossa is the most direct one. It's the closest to Seward, so it might actually get found. No money trail either, despite all the supplying that could matter. Yeah, no renewed vigor. The lack of renewed vigor is the thing that's really killing here, I think. I think you keep the lair in Toulouse because that's a nice block. I think Frankfurt is the one that could get ditched. Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. So yeah, as hunters, you have to be doing just enough that you can mop up the trail, but also not making inefficient movements, and you're supplying as much as possible. But if that equilibrium, if that balance just pushes slightly too much to one side, you end up in a situation like this, where, okay, now Dracula's hiding because he doesn't care, because if he's going to get found, he's going to get found. It keeps him on Iberia for longer. Seward's probably going to be moving to deal with encounters, not using wax cylinders. So yeah. Oh man, that move not going to Marseille was crucial. And that's like a week ago, and you see now everything that's transpired. Yeah. Sue's going to be able to deal with Saragossa. Wow, the how the tables have turned. So now Fangs isn't going to get those 7 points. So maybe he should have matured the first Reckless Vampire. But then, on the other side, if he had matured it, then they wouldn't have used Hypnosis, and used Hypnosis in not a wasted way, because he had to use it, but then now Hypnosis isn't available later. It's a really tricky balance. We'll have to see how the rest of the game pans out to know if it was the right decision or not. But the fact now that this vampire can be dealt with is really important. Oh, is there no stake? Oh, there might be. I can't remember. I think there's a stake. Oh, I should be looking at Fangs' side, because Fangs' cards are unknown to us. Okay, so he has Claws, Plotting, Strength, Strength. Okay, no Fangs. That's a bit unfortunate, because you obviously want to... I personally don't talk when... I don't want to reveal my combat card hand to my opponent, but it's not the best hand for a Reckless Vampire. Oh, okay. Strength into dodge. It's okay, because now you could Fang if you wanted to. I'll stay on Dracula's perspective here, because I want to see what combat card he's picking up every time. He's got Fangs. That's really good. I think you just play Fangs here. Because if Seward escapes, you're getting a point. If he plays Heavenly Host, you get the point, and you bite him. Okay, you get a point. Nice. So, yeah, Stewart does have a stake, because he wouldn't be escaping. So that's also a really important thing. Yeah, that Fang draw, especially the fact he didn't get the Reckless Vampire mature from Bordeaux, or he chose not to, I should say. That's much better. That's the fact you're getting an extra point is really good here. Oh, Van Helsing, you went to Bordeaux about a week too late, but you're there now. Nice. Oh, now he's going to realise that this was the lair. So now Van Helsing's going to get ambushed, and he could get another point here out of that Reckless Vampire. So that Reckless Vampire could still give him a point here. Nice. Oh, Van Helsing has no weapon. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is risky. If Van Helsing's not careful, he could actually die. There is a great strength, but burning a great strength on a layered location is not what you want to see. Okay, let's... I assume Van Helsing's going to play ultra defensive here, unless he just plays the Heavenly Host, because then that way he either gets bitten or the combat ends. If I was Van Helsing, I'd maybe play Heavenly Host here. You're fanging into a Heavenly Host. Okay, so... okay, this looks like a very strange thing that Van Helsing did, but it's actually a good thing to do. I know he's got bitten, which is the worst case scenario, but the reason why is because this way the combat is guaranteed to end. Either the vampire dies, or he gets bitten and he escapes. Or the combat ends because he found the Heavenly Host. Not ideal. It'd been better to escape, so then the Heavenly Host was still available. But that was a case of a worst case scenario where Van Helsing had got rid of the forewarned, so he couldn't forewarn the wolves. He hadn't gone to Marseille to trade the Heavenly Host, so he didn't have a weapon. All in all, worst case scenario there. Again, that's partly due to the passivity of Van Helsing to stay in Cologne and supplying. He had to keep holding on to stakes and Heavenly Hosts. Because he knew he needs to stake for the vampires, because no vampires are really appearing. Now they are. Problem is now Van Helsing's very weak. So they got another vampire to deal with in Iberia. Can Van Helsing deal with it? It looks like then this stake's going to have to get traded, which means then they're going to have to waste time getting a hunter over to Bordeaux, taking the stake, and then moving into Iberia. Real butterfly effect in action here. But all of this could have been solved by just sending Van Helsing to Bordeaux. Even if you don't Psychic Scan with me in Marseille, there was still an opportunity to solve the problem. Just send Van Helsing to Bordeaux. Because even if Van Helsing's the one who's a little bit out of position, it doesn't matter, because he's the supply bot. He likes to supply and then trade. It's okay if he's out of position. So I don't mind him just getting sent into Bordeaux. And if you find he's not there, oh well, okay, that's fine. He can sit in a big city and supply. Playing Mystic Research, that's nice. So there are 400 events on the bottom. And there's an Unearthly Swiftness and an Enraged. So that's very nice. If there's a hoax, I mean, there's so many Dracula cards, right? If a hoax does mature at some point, then Dracula's gonna have all of his bits and pieces. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong screen. Oh no, oh no. Oh no. Oops, right, we didn't see what Mina did. I assume Mina supplied. I'll find out tomorrow. Right, what are you doing? So you're in Alicante, so now there's a bit of a problem here, because if Dracula chooses to move, he's going to be moving towards the Hunters. Okay, putting stuff in Saragossa makes sense. The Bordeaux Vampire did its job. Yeah, he's looking at all of the events of which are possible and like what could happen next, what matures. This is he's in a very strong position here. Just because, as someone's pointed out in chat, there's not long until the 4th week triggers. When the 4th week starts, Dracula gets 3 points for every land move that he makes. I guess a lot depends on how you want to play this. If I was playing in a tournament, I would just go to C, because I wouldn't want to risk any sort of like weird renewed vigor shenaniganry and all the hunters jump onto me and they just kill me. I mean, he knows that 141 was discarded, but he doesn't know that there's another one on Mina. Was actually now in Seward. Yeah. I know people will say, oh, it's boring going to C. It's the safest move in this situation. And if the hunters had done their job properly, then they wouldn't be in a losing position. Right? The game is not lost when Dracula goes to C. It was lost before Dracula goes to C. That's the way people need to think about Dracula going to C. Anybody who says, oh, Dracula going to C just to wait until the 4th week and then lands to win is boring. Well, maybe it's boring, but you want to win, right? And that's how you win. And the hunters shouldn't have given up so many influence points earlier in the game. That's the way to think about it. Now he gets the hide scouts. So I guess now he can search Iberia and you'll be able to find out possible locations. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong screen, but I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so he knows where he went. He knows where he went. So I guess you just start dealing with things in order, so you go to Madrid. So it's got a planned ambush, so if there's another vampire, you could use the Heavenly Host. But yeah, the fact that CG is weaker is a real problem. But I guess there is a bigger risk that Van Helsing dies in that combat. I suppose that there is a great strength, but maybe he doesn't want to use great strength because he's thinking he might need it for later. What did you do last night? Did you supply? Oh, planned ambush. Oh, you did. You got an excellent weather. Okay, so she did supply. So that's one Mystic Research thing used. So the hunters know where Dracula is. He's in the Mediterranean. Problem is they don't know which way he's going to go next. It's most likely he goes east. He doesn't have wolf form for a while. That's the only thing. So they could potentially catch him with a weaker CG, Consecrated Ground. There's still a lot of things that can happen in this game. But the fact... Oh, there's the money trail. Oh, there you go. There you go. That's what you want. So searches Madrid. It's another vampire. There's a night fight. I don't think you use planned ambush here, but that said, I'm hoping that Seward doesn't just die or keel over. As a hunter player, that's what you're hoping for anyway. If this vampire matures, then Dracula gains 3 more points. And then I think... Oh, I should be looking at Fangs' screen. He'll be on 9 points, and then 1 more point to... Then he lands. But he's got a little bit of time before he needs to land to get the points. There's still a lot of critical decisions to be made here. This game's not over. As crazy as that sounds. Maybe in hindsight, layering the vampire in Bordeaux was the wrong decision. But then again, Hypnosis got burnt. Heavenly Host got burnt. Van Helsing's bitten, even though that's not a big deal. But it got a point out of it. Got a point out of the Reckless and Saragossa, so Dracula only lost 5 points, is the way to think about it. Clawing. Very good. Good thing to do at night. Okay, so Seward takes the most damage here. He takes 4 damage. Seward's playing purely defensive. There's no reason to fight this vampire, because you want Dracula to decide, does he want to mature it and then lose all the other encounters behind it, or not? Because if this vampire matures, now there's no trail for the hunters to deal with. Because we don't worry about the hide card, because hide cards don't mature. Okay, you supplying makes sense. Because you got Mystic Research things to get. Surprising Return. Good again, because there is, you got 2 of them. You got Surprising Return, 2 Surprising Returns to get Sister Agatha. There's a Vampire Lair. Mini Renewed Vigor. In this situation, it wouldn't actually make a difference in terms of the numeracy or the calculations and stuff. So the way Vampire Lair works is you take 2 influence off. So if this vampire matures, Dracula goes up to 9. So he needs to move 2 days to win in the 4th week. Oh, he's layering it. That's interesting. He's layering. He wants to make the hunters deal with the rest of the trail. That makes sense. We know that Seward doesn't have a second stake. I'm trying to remember what the Lisbon... Is the Lisbon one a... I think it's a... Oh, you're putting another vampire into Madrid? That's very interesting. I think you need the vampire for later, just in case a hunter lands on you. Might get a point to win. Okay, so Dracula's going that way. I'd be maybe tempted here, as the hunter player, to use Money Trail immediately. You need to know the direction of travel. You need to know the direction of travel, I think, instantly, in my opinion. You need to know if he's going east or west to then start responding to that, otherwise... Still no renewed vigor. I would personally use Money Trail here. Wait, where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you going to Toulouse? For the Heavenly Host? Oh, he rolled slow. If he was maybe he's trying to go to Bordeaux to get the Heavenly Host. To make him stronger for potential combat. But I don't like the movement here. Especially now you've rolled slow. Now Gadami's going to be stranded in no man's land for a turn. Suppose now Seward's really beaten up. So... What do you... I don't even know what you do. Because you've got 3 things that have to be dealt with. Seward doesn't have a stake. He's going into Lisbon. I think it's a new vamp, which means he can't kill it with just a Heavenly Host. I can't remember what it is. How many of those 13 cards are Drac cards? I don't know. I can't count the deck, I'm afraid. There can't be many left. There's a lot of Dracula cards in the discard pile. Because the problem we've got now is that the 2 hunters on this side of the board who are trying to deal with the trail are really low health. So they basically can't deal with the trail. And then the 2 that are healthy, you want them to deal with the trail because they're healthy, but also you want them to be dealing with Dracula. There, now you got Renewed Vigor. Nice. Nice. So I guess the only thing you try to do here is hopefully hit Dracula when he lands and you can CG him and that will buy you a bit of time. But Dracula's just going to play very safe here. Because you're letting the trail do the work. You don't have to force anything. Just keep the trail alive. Peter wants to prevent a hoax mature, and if anything is... If this means anything about a hoax, the search is bad for you. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so Mina can move. The problem is we don't know what direction he's going in. This is why I feel like the money trail is really important here. If you play money trail, and then you discover he's in South Atlantic, you know what direction you can go in. Mina's now moving to Munich, for essentially no reason. And again, Pizzawizard hasn't played for a couple months. So this might be a little bit of sort of rustiness kicking in. The Hunters have a lot of good events. Oh, I really feel like you need to be playing Money Trail there. Maybe Pizzawizard is playing off probability and thinking, oh, well, Dracula's always go east. Oh, he's counting the number of Dracula cards to see if he needs to search this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. I think he needs to search it anyway. It was a Discrete Soil. He can get rid of it, but now... Oh, that's right, it was a Discrete Soil. We knew that, I just forgot. I guess Seward's not taking any damage. But the problem is, he's now given Dracula cards instead of Seward healing. So now, how on earth is Seward going to deal with the Rumor token? Dracula's not going to heal, so I guess that's the way, that's the benefit you have to look at. But everything for the Hunters has kind of happened a week late, right? Hunters should be in the position now where Dracula's at sea, because they forced him to sea because they could put pressure on him, that then they can supply up, they can position themselves so they can pounce on Dracula once he lands. They're trying to now do two things at once. They're trying to position to find Dracula when he lands, but also having to try and deal with the trail in a very suboptimal way, because you've got these Hunters who are really beaten up. How on earth they can deal with this Rumor token? Oh. Oh, he layered it. I would just... I don't really... Okay, that one I don't really understand. I feel like you just take the Discredited Soul Mature and just take 13 points. Go back up to 13 health. Get the 3 health from it. I feel like you need to mature that, in my opinion. I guess there's a potential of bats getting pushed into it again, but I don't think that's really worth it. I take the 3 health here. Because you never know. If a CG comes out and you get CG trapped or something, you might need that extra health. Rufus Smith might suddenly appear and you need that little bit of extra health. I would take the 3 health at this stage, personally. Playing renewed vigor. Okay, so I guess Seward's gonna heal up. But... No, don't supply! Play Money Trail! Play Money Trail! You need to know which direction he's going in. Because there's a big difference. At this stage in the game, we got very little time to react to things. The difference between Ionian and North Atlantic is massive. That is a huge difference. And I'd get rid of the stake. You need to have combat related stuff. Kodami's going to jump on to... is the most likely to jump in. Yeah, Kodami's just playing a very... Yeah, there we go. Play it, play it, play it. You know you want to. There's still time to recover. Play it. Play it! I'm willing Pizzawizard to play. Yay, we did it! Nice. Just to make this really clear for people who are not familiar with the community, Pizzawizard is a very good player. Just not playing for 2 months and also playing against a capable opponent means things can go wrong. Okay. So there we go. So now he knows it's North Atlantic. Mina can now recover, but it'd be much better if he found that out yesterday. So now Konami and Mina could have been positioned in Nantes and Le Havre and these sort of places, right? Sorry, Le Havre. Or how are you supposed to pronounce it? I can't speak French. So now what do you do? Do you heal with Seward? Do you supply to try and get something? I think it's a new vamp. I think if I remember right, it's a new vampire. Are you going to get a stake? Is stake likely? No, garlic reef. Too late for you, Jonathan. Too late for you. I'll lie for the bats. Yeah. it's so frustrating, right? Because Van Helsing has a stake. He could deal with this Cardiff vampire, but he can't. Oh, yeah. Oh, poor Van Helsing. He found a new retirement home in Cologne. He liked that retirement home a little bit too much. No way you can sewer deal the trail alone. Nah. I mean, it is a new vampire. It's very difficult to kill it when you're that low on health anyway. And then you got Alicante, and then, you know. I mean, there's a Discord soul in Alicante, so I mean, that could be dealt with. But then if a Heavenly Host gets burnt, then it can't be dealt with. I don't know what... I'm trying to work out what Pizzawizard's looking for. Is he trying to work out what events he could still get, or... I guess he must be. But it's a Dracula event on top. The problem is because also... Van Helsing doesn't have a lot of movement, and these are layers, so they're all really... This is really choked up. Should we play Heavenly Host first round? Maybe. But then you're making CG really weak, right? This is the problem. So a lot of this is all happening kind of... Burning Heavenly Host to kill vampires or to potentially escape from from vampire combat is a legit strategy, but it's happening when CG should be looking to get played, right? So everything's all kind of out of sync. Does he really want to use Sense of Emergency and go down to 1 health? Okay, him playing Vampire Lair makes sense. I'm not sure why you're giving her Consecrated Ground. That's probably like the worst. Oh. Ah, okay, because he wants to play it tonight, I guess. But Seward might have to play the Heavenly Host in combat. Ah. Yes, and Amina's in the wrong place. She could have been already going across to Britannia with this move, right? Checking the layers. Very good. Don't step on a layer accidentally. Although Strasbourg was never on the trail, but that doesn't matter. A lot of things can happen in this game, and you can lose track of things. Yeah, I guess you just supply. And get rid of the stake. You don't need it. There you go. Nice. And there's a second renewed vigor. Woo! Okay, right, so the hunters have stuff. The question is, do they have enough time? And now you got a new vampire popping up. And because it's a new one. I think there was a little bit of doubt, because it's very possible it could have been... Oh, he almost clicked that. He almost clicked it. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Well, you never know. He might be able to kill it here. If he can get a rifle attack in and then the Heavenly Host, he might be able to kill it. Oops. That one. So he's dodging. But he's going to change it at some point. So what have you got? You've got Strength, Mesmerize, Fangs, and something else. Oh, double Fang. Whoa. I don't know what you play. Wow. Double Fangs is pretty big, yeah, but the problem is there's a Garlic Reef. There's a Garlic Reef. So the Fangs isn't actually very good in this situation. If he Fangs... I think Mesmerize is the right option. Yeah. Yeah, the no claws is pretty important. Yeah. Yeah, no claws is pretty important. But also the combo of planned ambush and a garlic rifle. Sure, garlic that is very much the dream. I don't know if I like Heavenly Host being played first. Because now... I don't know. Because now... Yeah, Strength is such an obvious thing to play. You're trying to stop weapons. I'd rather play the rifle, and then the vampire's like, Am I going to have to play around a Heavenly Host? Okay, nice dodge. Nice dodge. So now you like to play the rifle? But the problem is there's a Mesmerize. And obviously Pizzawizard doesn't know that. The double crucifix is very important. So you know it has to be a gun of some sort. Punch may have been better. Mesmerize. Oh, well, pistol. Pistol, rifle, same thing. So now, yeah, this vampire is... I think that's GG then. This vampire can't die now. I probably would have fanged, actually. Oh, no, because the vampire's got... no, it doesn't want to take damage from Garlic Reef. Oops. Yeah, the vampire just plays purely defensively. Yeah, this vampire can't die now. There's the claws. Oh, especially now that he's ascertained that... I mean, the vampire... If you even play plotting, the vampire won't die anyway, because there's no holy bullets. But yeah, your save just gave us back. Yup. That's a GG. Unless I'm mistaken. Am I mistaken? Not quite. Not quite. Because the vampire layer... No, it's not GG yet. Because the vampire layer got played, Dracula's only up to 10 influence. But... as soon as he lands at some point, he'll gain the 3 points to win. Fangs can now land and win, even if CG forced to take 5 damage, he'll have stuff HP to survive. Yes. So, yeah, I mean... it's really tough. I do wonder if maybe playing the pistol was better, because you guarantee that 4 damage, that 2 damage, and you're not mesmerized. Oh no, you couldn't. No, because he played mesmerized, didn't he? No, never mind. He had to play Heavenly Host there. Never mind. Ignore me. That's nonsense. He had to play Heavenly Host first round. Yeah, it was just an awkward situation. Yeah, now you mature this vampire because it's done its job. You got 6 points on the board. Just do it. So now Dracula can wolf form. He's very, very safe in this situation. Very, very safe. Yeah. And obviously, in a situation like this, you know, I mean, Pizzawizard can still do stuff to hurt Dracula. If we're playing in a tournament, you still keep playing because you could reduce the amount of... we have a points tiebreaker mechanic in the tournament, so you try to keep playing to reduce Dracula's health as much as possible. By maybe forcing him out to sea again, or with CG or something. But, as long as Fangs plays very safe here, he's going to win. The Hunters still have resources, but the problem is they're so stretched. If Mina and Godalming were now on the North Atlantic and English Channel coast, then absolutely there'd be a lot more possibility here for Pizzawizard to catch up in the very final day and try to get a win. But he's going to get through the event deck, so I guess maybe that was his overall objective. But yeah, it was just a little bit too passive, and the problem is, if you let things build up too much, there's now zero room for error. And because Van Helsing got absolutely clobbered by those wolves and that, then bitten by the Reckless Vampire, CG's not as strong anymore. He can't then move into the rest of Iberia to stake. Something like the Cardiff Vampire would have been perfect. He could have easily used the stake there. So yeah, too passive. It was just a little bit on that fine line. Nice to terminate. I'm glad you're seeing the positive side of it all. Never tell me the odds. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Oh! Oh no! What are you supplying for, Pizzawizard? You have everything! You have everything you could possibly want. Oh, that long night. So needed. Now, if only Vampire Lair took off 3 influence, not 2, Pizzawizard would have an extra day to play with here. But all some trashy stuff at the bottom. Actually. If he gets double CG, no. No. No way. Yeah. Dracula's just playing safe here. He's landing. Even though he's not getting the points, he's really safe. I assume he's in Swansea. Yep, he's in Swansea because it's the safest place to go. So sometimes you do play predictable, because why wouldn't you? So yeah, so this is very much a case of very strange game in the sense we had no direct combat between the Hunters and Dracula, which often doesn't happen. There's a lot of games where that doesn't happen, because a lot of it's just, as soon as the Hunters get into combat with Dracula, they kill him and then it's done. But yeah, just a little bit, just a touch too slow from Pizzawizard's sides, and all it would take is just one move to be slightly different, and then it changes the whole complexion of the game. And it shows you how much the game really hinges on just a couple of very small things. Force him to see and then redraw CG. But the CG token, we wouldn't get 2 CG tokens. The CG token would have to be moved. There's a renewed figure. Okay. So yeah. So it's really interesting, when I teach newer players, a lot of the time it's a case of them being too active, they move too much, and then they don't supply enough. In this situation, we've got the opposite problem, where it's a little bit too much supplying, and you've got all these powerful events, but then if you don't use them, or you don't get the opportunity to use them, like you're playing Renewed Vigor here, but it's in a way that's just like, oh, I'll play Renewed Vigor because it's the last turn of the game, so I have to play Renewed Vigor. You're not seeing it in the most optimal sense. But it's also just really, you show how deadly the layers can be. We saw that whole layer situation with Bordeaux. I guess the other way to think about it is, if Bordeaux had matured, I think Dracula would have gone up. He would have gone up to 11, and then Vampire Lair would have taken it down to 9. So he would have had to move an extra day. And then the Hunters wouldn't have to have dealt with most of Iberia. So they might have had an opportunity to reposition and pounce on him. So the way it's turned out, not maturing Bordeaux was the right decision. But on another day, it might have been the wrong decision. That's why this game is so cool. You might make the same decision on different days, but just the way the rest of the game pans out, you can get, you know, the wind conditions can change, the way things pan out is different. I gave it all the holy bullets, of course you are. No, he's Scotty. There's Rufus Smith. Imagine Rufus Smith had popped up a little bit earlier, when he left from Iberia, and then he's taking more damage. I know there was 2 Desperate Soils, but one of them might have not matured. And oh, what am I talking about? He should. I'm rusty with this game. I just suddenly realised he couldn't mature the Desperate Soul in Lisbon because it got cleared with the Heavenly Host. He just layered it instinctively instead of taking the points. My goodness, I am rusty with this game, it seems. So I'm sure there's a lot of comments going on down below talking about that. Nobody in chat picked me up on it, so it wasn't just me. He just layered it instinctively and then realised, oh, the layers are really good. Oops, I can't back out of it. Is he going to use excellent weather? No, that's his only a turn. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's all you do, just use excellent weather, right? There's no good luck, so you can't get rid of the roadblock to move in. Unfortunate. Oh well, at least she can use Consecrated Ground today. This game can... he reshuffled the whole event deck. Nice. It turns out Pizzawizard didn't want to win, he just had his own mini-game going on. Make as few moves as possible, supply through the whole event deck. He did do it in a tournament, and he won the game, by the way. So it's not a troll tactic. It is legit. But yeah, just in this case, just a little bit too rusty. Night Spy for the Heavenly Host? Go for it. He didn't get it. Oh, he did get it. He's just going to force him to see, right? He did? Wow. But Dracula's still safe. It's just he's going to reduce his health pool a little bit. Lower IDS! Woo! That's all that matters. Why did he put the CG token in? Oh, yeah, I guess he has to, yeah. Why? You've only supplied 12 times. I know, right? I only have one shot. One opportunity. You take a miracle. What? What is the possibility? What on earth could be the thing that he could do? If Dracula was on 9 influence, this would be such a tense finale. Because he would have to move twice to win. And then there's opportunities of hunters getting into position, jumping on him. Oh, is that what he wants to do? But you can't pick up Vampire Lair and play it on the same day. That's the only problem. Is he actually going to try and draw... He can't draw CG because he played it after the deck reset, so he can't play CG. I don't know what he's trying to look for. What is it he could possibly be looking for? If the timing of the reset, there's a chance he could have got CG again. But yeah, if Dracula had 9 influence, it'd be so tense. And even then, right, it's still not great because you could just go Iris... Oh, no, Northern Landing's on the trail. So yeah, you'd be stuck. Yeah. It is over, says Pizzawizard. The dream died. He didn't draw the second Vampire Lair soon enough. Yeah. That mini Renewed Vigor. If only you'd drawn it. He should have played Renewed Vigor this turn, because then he could have... Well, I guess then he would have been not as far through the deck. I don't know. The timing was all wrong. There will be a day where we see 2 Vampire Lairs get played in one game. But today is not that day. GG to both. So I'm trying to summarize like what sort of things were important from this game. We saw the problem of not having the last white one because it meant that hunter movement was a little bit restricted. But in the end, Pizzawizard did get a lot of good stuff. It was just a case of being a little bit too passive, which what cost Pizzawizard the game. We would have had a really tense chase at the end if Pizzawizard had found Iberia just a couple of turns sooner. Went into the, into Iberia, dealt with the trail, and so on, so on, so on. Hello, Mazanek Radu. Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, we've got plenty more on YouTube, Mazanek. So if you check out my channel on YouTube, you'll see there's loads more. And there's also there's a whole Discord community of players. If you've got the digital version of the game, you'll find the Discord link in the main menu somewhere. I wanted a Reckless in Cardiff. Yeah, so there was a bit of doubt there. That was actually really interesting that the new Vampire... I think maybe the timing didn't mean it was a thing. I need to look back on the recording again. There's so many factors. But the fact that the new Vampire got played there means it's very difficult to kill. You can gang up on it 2-on-1, but very late in the game, if you're sending 2 hunters into that location to deal with it, you're dealing with the trail slower. More hunters are out of position, Dracula's running around the rest of the board. So that having a new vampire there is really good. Without a stake, new vampires are really, really tough to kill. I can't remember at that specific moment if there was a new vampire and Reckless both in the hand of encounters. If Fangs chose specifically to play the new Vamp rather than the Reckless, and that was a really good decision. Yes, we can have a quick chat with them. Okay, so it looks like we're going to get Pizzawizard and Fangs of Fire on the line for a little quick chat. Because then they can give their sort of more direct analysis of the game. It'd be interesting to see if they say anything different to the stuff that I've come up with. But let's get them in. I'll quickly mute myself, and then we can deal with that. So give me a second, folks. Alright, stream. We are on YouTube. We are back. Pizzawizard and Fangs of Fire are on the line. GG, gents. Interesting game. I've obviously been saying my piece for the last 2 hours, more or less, or however long the game was. So time to turn it over to you two in terms of how you thought about the game in particular. Well, we'll say congratulations to you, Fangs, first of all. In the end, you just had a nice long trail.
Thank you very much. That was. I will say that for my personal thoughts on the game, does Gio happen to be watching by any chance? Because if so,
Gio is watching.
Yeah, he was actually my first victim for that particular trick. I tried versus Snuff, didn't work, but it's all about analyzing your opponent. That particular Wolfform High trick tends to work against more conservatory hunters, because since they aren't like as on top of things, so to speak, in terms of like flipping things over, I you can really cause a lot of confusion. The real secret to it is if you are trying to do something, if you want to go to a place that has a hunter in it, wolf form, because that will provoke a reaction, and therefore they'll check all the like heavy traffic locations like Marseille, Munich, etc. Uh, Hence why, and since Seward was on the rail line right there, it seemed logical that he would either horse to Marseille or rail there, leaving Bordeaux open for me to go in.
Hmm.
I That was the whole point of that, actually. Apart from just causing a bit of confusion, I will say I love the wax cylinders. That was hilarious.
Yeah, just the sort of the timing of it that you can never plan for. But
Yeah,
I've never seen
amazing.
I've seen wax cylinders only reveal the hide card, but never after a wolf form hide. So we've seen something
Well,
new on
yeah,
streams. That's great. Um,
yeah. Considering the fact that you once did that yourself after I wiped the put a rune token on a dissected hide due to a mature.
mhm.
I yeah,
um,
that's hilarious.
but
I
I mean, in my commentary, I did have doubts about the 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 potential for getting caught with that wolf form on cooldown. But in the end, as you're saying, in a case where you know an opponent might be a little bit more passive, and also then the fact if only Steward would be the one moving in, he's going to get hit by quite a lot of encounters. You might be able to potentially kill him or damage him enough that he's then going to be a little bit out of the fight for a while.
yeah.
The timing of everything worked out in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very risky move to go for sure. So, I mean, people who you watch this on YouTube and any newbies to FOD in chat, I would not recommend that you try that sort of stunt uh, while you're still climbing up the learning curve. Uh, once you, like, I suppose once you have like the intricacies of Dracula, especially combat down, then I would say that's when you should try to start getting a little bit more fancy. Uh,
Trying to bait hunters
but
into fights and things. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just an FYI for you, Pizzawizard. Both Santander and Saragossa had bats to bat you into a layered, non-rumored new vampire in Madrid, where I stuck a reckless vamps to bat you into a double night fight with a
That's
with
what it's
two
important.
vans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was so. Yeah, Spain was geared for death in terms of what was there.
Absolutely gnarly trail. Before we go over to you, Pizza Wiz, I just wanted to address, even though it's been addressed inside the chat, I'll do it just in case for people in the videos. We've got a question in chat asking about the win rate between Dracula and Hunters. And yeah, Pizza Wizard and Snuff talking in chat are absolutely right. It's pretty much 50-50, which is ridiculous given how asymmetric this game can be, and with all and also we saw in this game the way that this game was played is very much how most games are played. Hunters do not night supply unless they have Mystic Research, so Dracula doesn't get a lot of event cards. So the fact that essentially removing almost that entire aspect of the game, I mean, the Dracula events are still relevant because the hunters have to supply through them at the top of the deck, so they don't get their events as quickly. But the fact that Dracula's not actively getting those cards, but it's still able to maintain a almost 50-50 win rate is pretty impressive. As Snuff saying, at the top, at the very high level, hunters have a slight advantage, but in any one-off game, depending on who the players are, you could easily have a Dracula win too. It's not inconceivable that Dracula can win. Dracula is not irrelevant at high level at all. So everything is possible. It's very balanced, which is a real testament to the game design, and also then how good the players are on both sides, being able to make both sides work.
Yeah, I think had the tables been switched in terms of who was playing who, Peace Wizard likely would have won because I am a while I am a I specialize more on Dracula. While I can play hunters just fine, like I would say a strong-ish. Like I am by no means of the caliber of Peace Wizard, Scotsword, Wakajic, and so on, and a couple others. There are definitely others above me regarding hunters, for sure.
Right. And
Dracula, I am a little higher up the table.
right. And as a in the tournaments that we play, normally, in most cases, apart from the team tournament that we've just done, in most cases, especially in like the League of Dracula, you have to play on both sides. So the players at the top are generally the ones who are a little bit more balanced. But as long as you can win enough games on your weaker faction, then that might be enough to get you towards the top end of the table. So it's
Yeah, I
yeah.
got semifinalists for a reason.
Hmm. Indeed, indeed. I said that in the intro. Right, Pizza Wizard. What's going on? Did you have like your own mini game going on?
Uh,
I'm gonna supply all the way through the event deck. That was it. Was that the achievement you were
I
going
mean,
for? What's going
I
on?
always love to play that game if I get the chance to. This game, I felt like I haven't been playing this game. I took about a 2 month break after the last term. I haven't really been playing it, and I felt like the deck knew that I hadn't been playing it, and it was like, how dare you not come back to us? We've missed you. We're not gonna put what you want on top. So I was sitting there, didn't get ticket sorted until like Tuesday of week 2, so
Hmm.
I couldn't really move with horses. That felt kind of rough.
Right.
Um, didn't get either renewed vigor until I think like 15 cards were left in the event deck or something. They were both
Yeah.
really deep in
Whoa.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
That was the
I did
one
not
that.
recall that one.
Yeah.
Rufus, obviously the last card I drew, I was really looking for him as well. I was very confused. I don't know if it showed. I think it did because I kept missing hired scouts. I went after the thing in Strasbourg, and then I eventually got the ticket sorted. I, of course, managed to draw both horses on Godalming, so I had to discard a knife. I was very sad about it. But then I had everything set up. I had all my people. I had 3 horses. I had good items on most of them. I was like, I am ready to go. I just don't know where Dracula is, and I was worried because I had kind of gamed out in my head that you probably went. I guess I don't have the map in front of me, but you'd had the vampire in Leipzig. I had checked. I believe it was Cologne and Strasbourg, and you hadn't moved there, which made me feel
Yes.
pretty confident that you had gone something like Zurich, Milan. I believe it's Nuremberg, Zurich, Milan, or Geneva. I believe it is 24. That's
Hmm.
beneath Strasbourg.
Hmm.
Yes,
Trying to
Geneva.
see the
That's
map in
actually
my head.
precisely what got wiped. Yes.
So that
I
I thought it was something in that area, but then you misdirected the space after that, and that confused
uh,
me. And then you wolf formed, and that confused me a little bit more. And I felt like you could be in Italy, you could have been in the east if you had gone like down into like you had gone maybe Milan, Genoa, Venice, wolf form from there, or you wolf form from Venice and you misdirected Venice. I didn't really know where you were, and I felt bad to. I didn't want to move in the wrong direction. I feel like moving in the wrong direction is very bad. So I was like, I'm just gonna sit. I don't have either renewed vigor, so even if I did immediately find you, I don't have a great chance of pouncing. I'm just gonna supply for a while because I have time. The aristocratic matured, which I was actually the time I was kind of okay with the aristocratic maturing. I was like, that's 4 points, but now I have all the time to supply for my renewed vigors. I'll be fine, and to like get my tickets in order because my tickets weren't in order when the aristocratic matured. I don't think so. I was kind of okay with it for a while, and then I kept missing the hired scouts, and I kept and then you misdirected that space, and I felt like I didn't really know what was going on, and I kept waiting for like me to have the light bulb moment where you'd mature an encounter, or where I would hit the third newspaper. Granted, I did discard one. Feels bad. I think for a speedy telegraph that I later ended up discarding. If I'd kept a newspaper, I probably would have been happier with it. Although I think I would have revealed wolf form hide with newspaper. Legitimately, I think I would have
yes.
used it on for the space. So
I
maybe wouldn't have been the most effective in that game,
I guess it.
even if I had kept the newspaper.
I guess it also you could have used it to find Leipzig, I suppose. So then that aristocratic vampire wouldn't have
Yeah.
matured, and then because that kind of caused a little bit of a snowball because it removed 3 things from the trail. The local rumors then missed because the Zurich and Geneva were not on the trail. So some of that stuff that happened thereafter might not have happened. But I mean, I get it. It's tough when you. I think it was just because Frankfurt is quite well connected, and it's quite tricky to know exactly which direction. Where the next encounter is. Maybe you have a general sense of where Dracula's going, but precisely did Dracula go all the way up to Leipzig and then go down, or went to something a little bit closer like Nuremberg or Strasbourg and then went down? It's
my specialty.
I really thought it was going to be Strasbourg. I didn't have a lot of doubt in my mind. I was like, if he's Frankfurt first, it's usually Strasbourg second, which is
Okay,
why
and that
I moved Godalming to Cologne like as a failsafe, like just in case he's like sitting in Germany. Maybe this will reveal something like later in the trail. But then when he missed in Cologne, and then Mina also missed in Strasbourg, and then the Leipzig encounter matured, so I saw it was in Leipzig. Again, I felt okay with it at the time, and I think that you're right. It did lead to like it certainly confused me a little bit, the unfamiliarity with the games. I haven't played it for a minute. Like I was very confused. I didn't really want to move. I felt like if I just supply to get guaranteed value, like the expected value is higher on supplying on average. But I mean, not moving cost me a lot because eventually I find out he's in Spain. How do I find that out? I found it out with a hypnosis that
Just
Mina eventually drew.
Mhm.
I think there's like
yeah.
24 or 25 events left in the deck by the
Yeah,
time
I
she
think
drew it.
I think I had already wolf formed to Alicante by then, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was
The
played on the
it's
turn
pretty
you wolf
deep.
formed. That's what made me feel really good about playing was that you would wolf form that turn, so you wouldn't. It would give me an actual sense of where you were at the moment because I felt pretty far behind because there was a lot of trail. I was kind of hoping if you had done something sneaky, I could just like get you the next day. But then again, I said I'll never move bigger, so I was kind of trying my best there. But yeah, I mean, I find out you're in Spain, and then my response is okay. I'm gonna move Seward and Van Helsing towards Spain because they're the closest people. I need to get you out. I need to deal with these trails. There's a lot of rumor tokens on the board. I was deathly afraid of a hoax going off at any moment because I didn't have either renewed vigor. And if you shuffled like 20 Dracula events back into that deck, I thought I was never going to get it. Like the renewed vigor was just never going to come if that happened.
That would have
So I was
been
very
much
scared
harder,
of
yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah.
that's why I went to like Cadiz with Seward. Although I think I did have like a renewed vigor at that point, but so I go into Spain. I think I made a couple of mistakes in Spain. Number one, I didn't think about the fact that you had those layers. So like getting Van Helsing down to he had no weapons by the way. Getting him down to like 4 HP and then 2 because he had
Yeah.
double Heavenly Host and Stake. That was awful because it essentially meant he could do nothing in Spain. Like he just could not like do much of anything at all. Um and I
That was
didn't
the
realize
idea.
that was there. I guess I should have thought through process of elimination. Like if I know that you're in Spain off the wolf form, I didn't even know if you were like how deep you were in Spain because you could have wolf formed into Spain. You could have been like walking around in France, and I just missed you with the evil presence, like because of the way the timing worked out. I was very.
Exactly what happened from my end. If you,
um,
feel free to continue if you're not, but
I mean, you went to Geneva, and then you went to. I assume I checked Saragossa, so you didn't go there.
I did actually directly after you searched it.
Okay.
But
Classic move. And also,
that was very
Seward,
hilarious.
Seward vacated Bordeaux, and then Dracula just went instantly into Bordeaux.
Yeah, that's the Wolform hide trick. I use that to make you think I'm elsewhere, only to go straight into where you are right now. I mean, of course, now I'll have a hard time using that throughout the next tournament. Now that I've shown my hand like that
Hmm.
in such a public video, but but whatever. I'm definitely not gonna pull that trick all the time, and definitely not against people like, for example, definitely more aggressive hunters like Scott Sword. I know that that would hardly work. You are not one to like let things stay face down for long. For just and that's only one per example. I can think of several others too.
I mean,
I
I mean, I was saying in the intro that Pizzawizard and I subscribe to the same theory in terms of. I mean, I need to explain this a little bit better to the camera because when you watch the footage back, you'll see me at certain points just screaming, "Pizzawizard, move! You have to move! You have to move now! Stop digging! You have to move!" But I understand the risk of not supplying and you move because you could easily move in the wrong direction and then you're wasting 2 moves. But it's just like that comedy of errors, right? Where Mina's in Munich and there's nothing to find, and then poor Godalmi has to go all the way to Munich to do the hypnosis, then just to find out, oh, he's on the other side of the board, right? We have to all move over here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which about that? I think Pizzawizard should something like this happen again, you should be moving about doing a few psychic scans, given the area of the board where it happened. I I think
I
that would have
don't.
been good.
Mm,
I was actually rather scared of that. I
When you watch the footage, there was a perfect moment when Godalming and Seward both went into Marseille. If Mina had gone into Marseille as well, you would have discovered him in Bordeaux, I think, or maybe Toulouse, or it was something around that period. You would have discovered he was in Gallia after Wolfram had been
very turn I
used.
did the Wolfhorn hide.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
the very
after
what
that.
turn I did it.
Yeah.
So had you figured that out, I mean, you would have checked Toulouse pretty much instantly. Like, see if I'm going down to Spain and figure out. Oh, whoops,
But
trick failed.
but I also get the opposite opinion, right? That Munich is such an important space on the board. You have to check it because if Dracula's gone through there, and I was trying to count the spaces on stream, and it is possible that Munich could have been reached if you gone all the way around Hamburg, Berlin, Prague that way. Um,
Yeah.
so I understand. I understand the move as well. it's not as if you had one clear option, but it's just interesting how much information that second scan would have given you, or even if that hadn't happened, if Van Helsing, instead of saying Cologne, had just railed down to Bordeaux, because he wouldn't have taken the damage because there was no wolves there, stake the vamp, and then off you go, right? It's that I was saying in stream, it's a very, very fine line between supplying enough and supplying too much. And it's a really tricky balance to get right, because a number of times we see Hunter players who move too much, and then they're jumping on encounters or jumping on Dracula when they have no resources to be able to actually punish in that situation. How many times have we seen you, Pizzawizard, do a very similar strategy, but you've just found the encounters in time to deal with them, and suddenly we're in the third week, and Dracula has still many days to move to win, and Pizza is like, I've got this event, and this event, and this event, and all the renewed figures, and Vampire Lair,
Yeah.
and CG, and then Dracula can't do anything, because you can just throw the kitchen sink at him, and he has to, it's almost impossible not impossible for Hans to lose, you have to play the cards correctly, but you've got so many resources. So when it works so well. Right, and you wouldn't have won as many games as you have, without, really perfecting that strategy. But yeah, maybe it's a case of 2 months off, and that slight efficiency is not quite there.
There was a lot of uncertainty on my end because I felt like legitimately he could be anywhere on the board. Like I was like he could still be in Germany right now. He could be in the East. That's part of why I moved me to Munich because I thought there was some potential he will formed into the East and then was just sitting over there. I didn't want to move everyone to Marseille and then have the East like essentially moving everyone away from him. But I think in general, I think having me with another honor is smart. I just had to group Godalming and John Seward together because Seward had to get the horse. And then when I already had both of them to say, I was like, I need to have someone in the East. What if he's over there? I can't have everyone in Marseille because then I find out you're over there and I can't do anything because everyone's like a map away. So I needed to have someone over there. I think I agree with you that in an ideal world that would have been like Seward in Munich and Mina in Marseille. But the way I felt like I had to move to get my items the way I wanted them didn't really facilitate that unless I moved after. Like I could have moved Mina from Strasbourg to Marseille and then just moved Seward up to Munich. But I thought
another way Pizzawizard was what I was really scared of is that Godalming and Seward would go to Marseille as they did, but then Van Helsing would drop down from Cologne, where he was at the time, to Strasbourg, and then you would just check all that part of the map. I
was just worried you were actually still in Germany somehow. I thought there was some chance you were, because you like to you're not scared. You don't play scared. You like move next to the hunters all the time. I was like, what if he's somehow back in Germany and I move out of Germany with Van Helsing? Because I didn't even feel confident you were in Spain. Like if I moved to Bordeaux and you're like in the East or something, that's not a good move. That's just bad. I'd rather just go to Marseille. Or you're like maybe Italy, although I ruled out Italy when I checked Florence.
I'm not talking about the railing to Bordeaux. I'm talking about him moving by road to Strasbourg so that Mina could have scanned it the very night I did the wolf form.
Scanning France.
But then he's off. Yeah. But then I guess the downside of that is that he's then off the rail line. He's in a small city, so he can't supply.
I'm sure, but he still gets a lot of info. Yeah? At least in my opinion, that definitely would have been worth it.
Yeah.
That was like a scary moment for me when I realized that he could easily do that after the fact. But like what you were talking about, Scott, sort of like with important to check spots, like that's like the whole principle that I am taking advantage of it with that particular trick. Because it leads it's like I said, it provokes the reaction of checking those spots, which are like in the opposite direction in this case.
Right. And I feel like it's a really good thing, right, the way that this game is designed, because as hunters, you need to check worst case scenario positions on the board, because if you let them go unchecked, like a Munich or something like that, then Dracula can really punish. But then, because Dracula knows that, then the hunters may check those locations. Dracula can then work around that and check the locations which are maybe closer to the hunters. But they're not going to get checked as quickly because why on earth would Dracula move there? Because it's more risky. I thought what you were actually going to do when you're in Geneva, I thought you were going to go into Strasbourg, thinking that Mina would move into Strasbourg and then try and get her. But in the end, you didn't do that. You tried to go after Seward.
The idea did occur to me. The idea did occur to me, I will say. And when I've done this previously, both times I did it at Geneva, and in the time where it worked, I slipped into Marseille after Goldoming, after doing a feed, like saying, "Oh, I'm for I've made the distance. Now I can feed because I had already done a wolf form previous to that, or no, because not a wolf form. It was an Ireland start. I that I did that with. So,
But you were really close,
Uh,
Pizzawizard, because there was a situation where you had those hired scouts which missed in non, and I saw you, Fangs. You were thinking of moving into
yeah.
non, and then you didn't do it. And
Yeah, I because for that very purpose, not with I because I reasoned that Santander get checked slightly at like Nantes would be a higher priority target than for I regard be it Scout or just horsing there from Marseille, that was definitely a higher priority target, and or alternatively Santander is also 3 roads away from Marseille, and therefore it had to be a sense of emergency or a charred carriage to hit me
right.
I right then and there. So yes, and I did, and I even briefly contemplated going to Clermont-Ferrand from there after I misdirected it, but I dismissed the idea quickly. Uh,
But I saw
but
you.
yes, but yeah, you saw all that I was like covering like did I go there, there,
Mm.
there. I was thinking I had to think carefully on that one.
But I also saw the cool thing with doing this perspective is not only that I could see
Mm.
the what you would in terms of what cards you had and stuff like that, but also I could see what your cursor was doing. So there were times, Peter Wizard, where you were counting like, okay, so Nuremberg and Zurich and Geneva got removed from the vampire, and I was like, good, good, good. You're working it out. You got the deduction. You know what's going on, and then it's just the next step didn't quite work. But I really like that you can actually see not just the move that somebody moved into Santander or not or wherever location, but you're seeing the thought process of what locations
Yeah,
are they considering on both the Hunter side and on the Dracula side. So it's really
I did.
informative.
Which speaking of that, I take it that you got the messages that I sent during combat. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was a neat thing. Yeah, combat. I really look forward to rewatching this, from your perspective, and because this was a blast. I was skeptical of my chances of winning, but I intended to give it my best. So, and what do you know? It was tight, but I managed it.
In a one-off game of Fury of Dracula, anything's possible. So
Yeah.
it was really good fun. Hopefully everybody in the chat enjoyed it, and hopefully everyone watching on YouTube, it was informative. I hope it was.
I do think I maybe made one more big mistake that maybe people would benefit from hearing a perspective on it if we have a moment. I don't know if
Yeah, no,
we're
no, no,
we're
go for it, Peter Wizard. Go for it.
running out of time. After the fog had lifted and I had a clear target, I knew he was in Iberia because of the hypnosis. I go in. Van Helsing immediately at 2 HP with a bite token. He's out of commission. I needed to move Godalming in. And I think that he had a stake the whole time.
Yeah.
He could have very easily gone in and dealt with Cadiz, I believe is where the new vampire was.
Mm-hmm.
Could have very
Yeah.
easily gone and dealt with
The one
Cadiz.
that
And
matured, at least. Yeah.
I was too scared of you going east, which in the end you didn't even end up doing. So I should have just played Money Trail earlier if I was going to play it. I shouldn't have waited as long as I did. I should have either played it at the onset after your second move, or I should have waited until the fourth move. But by the third move, I was kind of worried that I was going the wrong direction, which I was. I didn't want to move in with them because I was worried I would leave the east two open. But in doing that, that set up the conditions to where you essentially couldn't lose the game once you had 10
Yeah.
points,
Right.
right? Because I just didn't deal with the vampire. And even if I deal with the vampire, I have to deal with Alicant, which I assume had a hoax or something scary, and I was going to have to deal with it.
That was actually a soil. I put a fog there
But
to like secure the healing. For in the event you cleared the gauntlet of vampires that was there. That was actually a soil. Both hoaxes were just either discarded via soil or shoved into layers just to get it out of my hand. Due to how you got perfect time newspaper for the first spot.
Mm-hmm.
I
I think
I just dismissed the notion of you getting one, which apparently I shouldn't have. But
I think it's really important that new hunter players look at the board and where the rumor tokens are and realize what their like lose conditions are. Because I was not scared enough of that rumor token, and I did not move enough hunters into Spain to deal with it. Because even if, let's say, he was in the east, and I've moved Godalming over earlier, and he was actually going to the east the whole time, I think I still lose there. Because the vampire would still mature in that situation. Nothing about him being in the North Sea versus the Eastern Seas changed anything about the math in Spain. So I think that
Yeah.
it's pretty important to realize, like, you can plan ahead, and planning ahead is good, and I think you need to do it, but you shouldn't plan ahead.
If you're
You have to
behind.
pay attention to what's going on as well. I think I coasted too long that game. I'd supplied too long, and I coasted too long, and I didn't feel like I was in danger until like my self-preservation did not kick in until the day that I essentially like renewed vigor, I think, to like move Seward onto Cadiz and like also supplies what I think he did in the hopes that I would get a better combat hand to kill that vampire or draw the
Stake.
1 out of 11 stake.
Right.
Um
I think the thing
Yeah.
that's very interesting is, and the way I guess where the asymmetry works is, Dracula can die very fast because if you just get one really good combat, Dracula can die in that one combat, or he can be crippled to such an extent that the hunters can play almost not suboptimally, but they can play a little bit inefficiently, but still pincer him in a location and kill him in a second combat. But as hunters, you have a lot of chances to get back into the game, right? Especially with the fact that there's not the Dracula event cards to create sort of more sort of swingy events happening. You didn't find with the psychic scan. Didn't matter, because all we had to take was one hunter had to go into Bordeaux. That didn't happen. Okay, so then the Bordeaux vampire didn't mature because Fangs chose to lair it. Interesting decision, but in hindsight, it was the right decision. Drew more hunters into Iberia. But then even all that, right? All it took was for one Fang attack on a Reckless or something not to have gone through, and you would have been on 9 points and not 10. And then suddenly there's a world where if Money Trail had been played a couple turns earlier, so you knew which direction he was going in, the hunters were located on the English Channel coast or whatever, excellent weathers, if there's one extra day with Sister Agatha and a heroic leap or something, hunters could have still won that game after all the stuff that happened and went against them, right? It's so interesting how there are lots of ways that the hunters have that potential catch-up mechanic, but as you said, you need the efficiency to kick in at the right moment to go, right, now I have to be urgent. I have to move. The thing I was more worried about was the lack of Money Trail. I think Money Trail should have been played after the second C move to know which direction, because you needed more urgency. I realized it would have put you in a very weak position to know where you CG, because then obviously there was Irish Sea was a possibility, English Channel was a possibility, and obviously I get that. But I think you needed to know the information sooner so you could position better. That's my opinion, but I also understand how you could have still lost the game, because then Fangs would have had 3 C zones to potentially play with. So I understand
I
that
think
too.
I chose the worst of all options.
And on, and on
You either
the
play it
topic
on
of
2 or you wait
Aggie,
until the 4th space. I don't think you play it on 3. Playing it on 3 was a desperation move because I realized how far behind I was and how much ground I had to make up.
So I guess,
and on the topic of Aggie, by the way, the fact that I ended up biting Van Helsing ended up giving me quite a spook, seeing that surprising return sitting on in his hand. I was like, uh-oh.
right. Or
Like the knowledge that Aggie is as good as equipped, since it was Van Helsing who had it, not someone else. So like if Mina had it, maybe she ends up discarding it for this or that, whatever. Like, but when it's Van Helsing, he's not that's not gonna happen, especially not with Aggie being in the deck and ready to bring out when the time's right.
Yeah.
I was also a little bit worried about Heroic Leap. I
that got
that
dropped very
roadblock.
early.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
yeah. Who had Mina had it? Actually, you would have actually had me because you because what I had was bodyguards on that last on Swansea. Because then you excellent weather across, then you move by road without the roadblock. Had that, I think that actually
You
saved me.
discarded both my good lucks. It was very unfortunate. I didn't have one.
Yeah, yeah. If you had had a good luck, or if I simply just hadn't gotten that, I then you actually would have been able to walk onto me, and if she had had it, heroically leap me down to 2, and then force me out to sea, I die. So it's slight differentiations, even with things the same up to that point, it was still possible. And I was rather scared of a heroic leap there. Ooh, thank goodness that turned out not to be the case from my perspective.
Right, but that's
But nonetheless, good game well played.
absolutely. But that's the strength of like your strategy, Pizzawizard, right? Where you do supply up, and the way to think about it is, well, is it fair that the hunters obtain so many events that they can suddenly throw out at the end of the game to swing the game in their advantage? Well, maybe because you've had to give up so much early tempo, right? You allowed Dracula to build up a longer trail. You're sacrificing the movement to get all those events. You need to be in the right position to capitalize on them. So there's definitely, just 1 point of influence less, or if there was a good luck, or if Mina and Godalming were on the northern French coast and things, we would have had a really, really tense finale, which is crazy considering how much stuff went in Dracula's favor in the early portion of the game. But I guess what makes the game great.
Yeah.
You got to keep looking for that way to win. I think that's really important. You got to keep looking for the way to win. And even CGing him off of that space was not guaranteed. I don't know if you noticed. I had to night supply that night to get a Heavenly Host on Godalming. Like I was like, how do I win this game? I need to be able to CG him off the space. Step one of any winning plan. But then I need to put the permanent token in the port, like Fangs pointed out. But at that point, it didn't really matter unless I somehow managed to draw a Vampire Lair and then immediately play it. It was super unlikely that wasn't going to happen. Like I needed to draw it like the next night. I was very much out of it. I was like grasping at like the 0.01%, but they were not quite there. But it did feel good to draw the Heavenly Host though. I clapped. It was nice.
That was very good. Yeah, there's a lot of hype in chat when that Heavenly Hose got pulled, because Snuff suddenly twigged what you were trying to do. So yeah, there's a lot of hype.
Yeah, again, I definitely look forward to watching it back so I can see the full picture and like see all the chatter and stuff, because
the switching back and forth actually worked pretty well. There were a couple of times I missed what encounter you played, or I was on the wrong screen at the wrong time, but in general it worked. I mean, for a first time through, I think it worked pretty well. So it seems like the people in Twitch chat enjoyed it. So this is definitely something we can
being fully in the know on what's happening.
Oh yeah, it is very. I mean, that's the other thing that's really important. I did try to say it. It's very easy for me in hindsight to be sitting here and going, even more so than watching it normally in a tournament game, where in hindsight it's very easy because I'm not playing, and also I'm seeing all the information, right? The ones who are playing, there's also then the emotion of the game, which makes it very tough. I mean, I wouldn't.
Why isn't he scanning there? He's right there. Why didn't he just move 100 and scan it? I can see him.
You're gonna get so much wrath from Captain Gyro for that. By the way, he's gonna be sitting there going, "I told you, you have to psychic scan. That's the key of the game. Is psychic scanning every single turn."
Look. When the item deck is kinder to me, we'll psychic scan. All right. It's not
right.
about. I'm not anti-psychic scan. It's not like Lucy's French.
Right. We'll whisper. We'll bribe the deck a little bit, and then we'll
there we go. Nice. Okay.
But it looks like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend this for tournament gameplay just because then there is a risk of potential sort of cheating involved. But for friendly games like this, and if people seem keen and we get different players back, or we mix up the roles and stuff, I'd definitely be keen to either do more of this or just watch more of this. I think it's really neat. So, or even use it as a coaching tool. I think it's something that I thought about a while ago as a coaching tool where you've got a newer player with you, and you can guide them through what to do. I think that could be really neat as a teaching tool. But this was great. I'm glad that we could make it work. It looks like everyone enjoyed it. I need to sign off because I need to have dinner and that. But thank you two for participating and for the chat afterwards. GG again.
Yeah, GG. Well played. Fangs.
GG Pizzawizard. Close one.
Good game. And I'm sure. Anyway, so thank you two for participating, and everybody who's watching, thank you very much. If you're watching on Twitch, thank you very much, and if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, thank you very much. Feel free to leave all your comments down below, and I guess I'll see you for another Fury of Dracula video very, very soon. So take care, everybody. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.